want you to hear this. Anyway, I ran across this publication, Print Week, and believe it or not, they must not talk about mail much at all, because I've been doing this show for 3 years and I've been searching for articles on direct mail, and this is the first time I remember seeing them, which is unconscionable probably. But anyway, that's the way it is. That's the way our industry is. You know, we don't want to talk about mail. Um, and we'll be explaining that in a minute when we get to Ritson's next article. But JCI mail, which is the joint industry currency for ad mail. Never heard of that either. Amazingly, that there's actually a group that studies how people react to mail in their house. So if any of you have heard of this, you know, let me know. I'm going to dig into it a little bit more, but I'd love to know if any of you are members or subscribe to their research. I'd like to know what else we can find about mail. Anyway, they claim that the ad mail market is rebounding, and they actually measure mail volumes to a panel, and it's up about 51%. It says down here, JCI mail data is gathered from a panel of 1,000 households every month, kind of like Nielsen used to be anyway, and the mail activity of every household member is tracked using a diary-based app. Every mail item they receive over the course of a week is captured, and everything they do with that mail item over the course of the month is recorded. Okay, so we have a very interesting perspective long term over the way mail interacts in a household, much like, as I said, the Nielsen, you know, ad. It used to be diaries. You'd keep track of what shows you watched, and that was how advertising was sold, based on the number of people who said they were watching a show. That drove the price of advertising, of TV advertising. Anyway, so there's a lot of content in here. We don't want to get into all the details, but I want you to go over to wdma.org, register for the meetup. We got some great people already, and then I want you to subscribe so that you can get the articles. I'm having a lot of allergy trouble the last few days, more than I've had in years, and I don't know quite why. But anyway, so now let's go over to Mark Ritson, and I have to admit, I was a little concerned because this article took a long time to get going. Okay, and maybe it's the title, I don't know. But this is a picture of Facebook's just recently announced Horizon Workrooms. And Ritson takes half the article talking about how terrible this is. And one reason, or several of the reasons are, I got a kick out of it too, because he says, you know, if you go on a Zoom call, you know, and you don't happen to, in the rare case you don't happen to have the software, you have to download it. I don't like downloading software of any sort. I don't like Zoom. I like Google Meet, but I've noticed that more of my friends have trouble with Google Meet, probably because it's free and their corporations use paid video conferencing. But he also teases. He said, now if you're using Google Meet or you're using Zoom, you're probably already set up, but if you're using Microsoft Meet or Meeting, then it takes you 30 seconds to download it, 30 seconds to go to the link, 30 seconds more to download the app, and if you're going to share your screen, 30 seconds more, and it was kind of comical. But anyway, this is kind of what it looks like, okay? You have this virtual boardroom, and you're supposed to scan your desk with your phone or with your Oculus, and you scan your office. Don't scan my desk and office. I don't want anybody to know. I got a lot of stuff on here. I mean, it's important stuff, but you know, it's stuff. A lot of stuff. And it's always that way because I'm always a work in progress. And then you create an avatar. I mean, you have to buy the 600 pound, 600 or 300 pound. Oh, there's Keith. Good. Um, VR device. You have to buy this hood that you wear. And he says, I can just see the CEO of a major corporation putting on this hood for 4 hours of meetings. No, not going to happen. And the other thing about this is that you can't tell who's really there and who isn't. You can walk away, and your little person here is still looks like they're in the room, still looks like they're watching, and that gets into um, some of the it requires a headset. Imagine here's the thing about Microsoft Teams. He says it works terrible, Keith. So if you like it, I have had terrible success with it. The funniest part is my friends at Hamaker used it, and I thought, well, if I've got Windows 10 on this machine, if Microsoft Teams is a Microsoft product, I'll bring it up in Edge, which I never use, but I thought, well, I'll try it. It doesn't work in Edge. I think it needed to use Chrome. So that was funny, Microsoft. Anyway, so you got to buy this expensive VR helmet or headset, and Ritson says it'll die because it's simply not contagious enough, ironically. But the biggest thing is that he said, have any of these people who developed this ever been in a meeting before? Part of the thing that works about Google Meet or Zoom is you don't see everybody's whole office. You see their head, but you also see their expressions. You see their connection. You see whether they are looking like they are interested in your proposal or they're not, or they're going to get coffee. I always turn my camera off briefly when I march over to the coffee pot. Another facet of business that escaped the workroom's development was faces, human faces. Most of us like to see the people we meet with. They're nonverbal cues. He says, everybody says 70% of communication is nonverbal. That's probably an underestimate. Anyway, but by this time, I wasn't too excited about the article. In all my travels, I cannot remember anything less appealing or more appalling than the sanitized, curiously sociopathic environment that workrooms represents. So why would anybody want it? 5 years from now, people are going to be able to live where they want, work where they want, but are going to be able to feel present as if they're together. He says, we've already got that. But it's stupidly conceived, hard to access, less enjoyable to use, devoid of human interaction, inferior to existing technology. How is it that Facebook could get this so horribly wrong? So then he includes an interview with Mike Zuckerberg, which I'm going to skip. But he said, in the final 10 seconds, Zuckerberg says, we think it's going to be a big use for VR. A decade ago, Facebook splashed out $1 billion, $2 billion, on a VR headset company called Oculus. And he saw VR as the next big innovation. He knows that incredible dominance of Facebook in its current tech window cannot last much longer. Zuckerberg became product oriented. And this is where the article starts to get great. He said, there's a famous Ted Levitt quote, but people aren't buying a power drill, they're buying a hole, the ability to make a hole. What they need is a hole, and they use a drill. Okay? So what happens is, and he says in his mini MBA course, he has a Levi executive who's charged with developing a new product. At the beginning, he listens attentively to focus groups, quant data, as if his life depends on it, learning, understanding, and being surprised by every glimmer of customer interaction. But he gradually loses the marketing plot and becomes deaf to the counter arguments from customers, colleagues, and his ad agency. But when they see the product that they currently do not want, and they will understand how much they want it. Yeah, okay. It blinds us to the voice of the customer when you become product focused. And why I'm sharing this is because I'm guilty of it. You know, I've been trying to promote mail. People don't want mail. What they want is new customers. We're going to get to that in a second. You know, they want a breakthrough. They want their advertising to be seen. And we got to remember that. You know, we got to remember that as an industry. We got to remember that mail isn't the product. Mail is just a vehicle. And there are other vehicles. And that's why I like this next article coming up. But anyway, Facebook, with all Facebook's power and control, it's a prisoner to the ultimate boss of everything, the consumer. And the most powerful trait of any organization is its marketing obsession, Jeff Bezos says. At the organizational level, a capacity to bring the customer into the business and impact the decisions that are taken over time. Why they think the customers will need their product and what they actually think of it. The humility of marketing. And you know, just yesterday I reiterated, Amazon has some humility. They never said, we guessed what you were going to buy next. They never said, we do one-to-one marketing. They really don't. They say, we get it to you fast. We got a lot of warehouses. We'll get it to you. And when they tell you what they think you might like, they say, people who bought this also bought. They don't say, we got into your head. They said, other people bought what you just looked at, and they also bought this. There's a humility in that. Even though they have the biggest AI engines on earth, they don't claim that they can predict you. You can't even predict you. You need a special kind of paranoia for worst case scenarios and for evidence. That's what direct marketing gives you. That's why it works. There's a humility in it. When we do tests, and I mean scientifically valid testing, we listen to the marketplace and we let the marketplace tell us what they want. That is the core of direct marketing. That's the core, and that's what's missing in so much of the digital space. You know, yeah, they measure the click-throughs, but they don't usually attribute the causes because they didn't set it up right. You got to isolate causal variables, and they don't often look at the sale, and they don't often look at the customer lifetime value. The long term, how long is this customer going to be with you? And that is what we do in direct marketing. We let the marketplace continually adjust our business. And that's why companies like Land's End and LL Bean, who've gone on forever and ever and ever, and Hammacher Schlemmer, because of that feedback, and to the extent that they listen, they can modify their offerings. You know, we spent a lot of work last year about this time trying to decide if the COVID-19 customers, the customers that were flocking to our catalog for air filters, which is still probably the most effective thing you can do indoors, is a UV filter. And nobody's talking about that. That's the part that amazes me, is if you're really, really concerned, get a UV filter. It kills the viruses out of the air. That's how it travels. But anyway, is that customer the same? Well, if we keep this perpetual pandemic going, it probably is. You know, I saw today the president of Pfizer said, well, don't worry, if there's a new variation, we'll give you a new booster. Do you understand that this is a subscription pitch? When you sign up for the vaccine, you're signing up for a perpetual prescription. And subscription, I mean. You got to get a new virus. You got to get it. Oh, here comes a new variation. Got to get a new boost. What a great marketing deal. So anyway, you know, and it may work and it may not. I'm not commenting on the efficacy. I'm just stunned that they're admitting that this is a subscription, a perpetual vaccine subscription, which is, you know, one of the great marketing ploys. Every month we'll send you a new bucket of steaks or something. Anyway, so direct marketing and testing lets us put a finger on the pulse of the customer, lets us continually reevaluate, readjust, and observe, and retest, and find new things to go on with. And if you then apply machine learning, you spot the anomalies even faster. Now, there's an even better article coming up, but I'm going to skip it for today and get back till tomorrow. So, Keith, I apologize. It's so, I thought I'd get to it, but, this humility of marketing is so crucial, and it's what the WDMA is preaching. And that's probably why I like Mark Ritson so much. So, thanks, Mark, again. You surprised me at the end, and as usual, you came through and did not disappoint. Have a great day. Like and share. Your friends will know you're smart. I'll get up here to this thing and let it expire.